Good morning, everyone. Um, Welcome back to Digital Learning Day 2026. We're excited to bring to get you together for continued learning, collaboration, and practical strategies you can bring back to your classrooms and agencies. Throughout the session, please feel free to drop your questions and comments in the chat. We'll pause at different points to address them and make this as interactive as possible. All sessions are being recorded, and your recordings will be shared early next week so you can revisit key ideas or catch anything you may have missed. In the meantime, please introduce yourself in the chat. Our next session is titled AI Then and Now, Staying Grounded in a Rapidly Changing Landscape. And your presenters for this session would be Jose Adorno, a digital HCN coordinator. And I noticed that I didn't do an introduction. So I'll talk a little bit myself and I'll pass it on to Brianna quickly so we could do a quick introduction. I'm the digital HCN coordinator. I work at EdAdvance, and we provide digital literacy support, or my role is to provide digital literacy support, implementation, and anything that you need regarding technology. And with that, I'll pass it to Brianna.
Hi, my name is Brianna Patriarca. I am a digital ATDN specialist and I work at EastCon, and I basically do whatever Jose and Amy ask me to do for digital ATDN.
So as we get started, we're going to talk briefly here. What is ATDN and digital ATDN? The Adult Training and Development Network are services funded by the Connecticut State Department of Education, the academic office, to provide training opportunities and resources for adult education programs across the state. They are also home to professional and comprehensive in-person and learning training for adult education professionals in numerous areas across the state. Need to fix my camera a little bit. For today's session, or I called it meeting. At the end of this training, uh, you will identify the 5 essential guidelines for effective use. We'll analyze real-world AI headlines through a responsible use lens, and we will explore current AI tools for practical and thoughtful implementation. Using the effective use lens. Before exploring AI's evolution and our changing approach, we first need to ground ourselves in the effective use lens. As we review tools and headlines, we will reflect on how we engage and which guidelines apply. This essential AI guidelines for effective use is actually available on our website, which we'll share in the chat later on. And in one of our infographics here, goes over 5 different guidelines. And those guidelines are: never share private information, always check for discrimination and bias, fact check AI responses, refine or try again, and verify privacy and usage terms. We'll go over each one briefly, give you a little bit more context of what that means, and then we're going to go into a fun activity for everyone here. So our first one is never share private information. AI prompts might be stored to improve models. Avoid including any sensitive or personal data to protect privacy. Some of the data that it might ask you or that you might be putting in would be your names, any demographics, payment information, passwords, or other personal information. A lot of the AI takes that data by default and uses it to train. So we don't want to have personal information showing up then would allow you to to just have your information coming up through these terabytes, huge amounts of data that's being going into AI. Always check for discrimination and bias. AI can produce biased content influenced by its training data. Review outputs carefully to ensure fairness and inclusivity. I'm opening the chat here. I had it closed. 1 second. Okay. Important thing here, try to keep it. We're looking at us. In order to train AI, you need to give it a lot of data, a lot of information. And where can you get information? Online, in the WWW, World Wide Web. And what happens is that this is a sample here of just a handful of what you can or what they have mentioned that they use. You have some news, or it could be any um, journals and posts. You have YouTube, you have social media. Here you have Facebook, X, and Instagram as reference, but any social media. You have Reddit and you have Wikipedia. Now, what happens when we start to think about that this is part of the data that is used to train AI? What can we see a lot in these platforms as an example? And this, again, is just a little piece of it. There's way more websites that are being used and all of that. You could put it in the chat. You want to just shout out quickly what you think. Um, what is the quality of the content that you see here?
Well, when you talk about something like Reddit, it has a lot of personal bias. That's just any person's comments on anything.
Exactly, right? There's a lot of personal bias. A lot of this not even filtered. So you get the opportunity to express your voice online, but it's not vetted. And people have strong opinions, and which is totally fine. But sometimes, there's false info. Perfect example there too. So looking at all of this, I actually am surprised that AI does fairly well regarding all the data that it's going into. But those guidelines and those guardrails that they set for them are not as they're still not enough, because as we know and what we'll see later on, there's still a lot of bias that comes into the responses when we're engaging with AI. So very important here, always check for discrimination and bias, and always, cross-reference with other information. Our third one is fact check for AI responses. That's why I was brief on the other one, because then I'll mish them all together. AI generated content may be inaccurate or misleading. Always verify information using trusted and reliable sources. An example here of what a digital practice that a lot of people dub this as, is to Google it, right? I just Google it. And what happens now when you just Google something? What shows up for many people unless you turned it off?
The first response is AI, like an AI overview.
Exactly, right? The AI overview. If you're using Bing, um, which is Microsoft's, you get copilots on the side. So the first thing that comes up you is already an AI overview. And a lot of the times, they do a somewhat good summary of what's under responses, but there has been cases where there's like crazy stuff that comes up. And then students would just look, or not students, just users in general will go in, Google something, look at the AI overview, which I've done, I will admit, from time to time, and then that's what they go with, and they won't look at the other resources. So again, very important to fact check AI responses, either through something like Googling it, or if you're going and engaging directly with different chatbots or other AI. Sponsored websites as well, exactly, right? You pay to be first, and that's the first thing that you see, and they're labeled as sponsor, but they're so tiny that you could easily skip it. They're camouflage in the results. There is another side of fact checked AI responses, and we are mentioning it here briefly to talk a little bit about it, and that's a deep fake. So, according to the Government Accountability Office, the definition of deep fake is a video, photo, or audio recording that seems real but has been manipulated with AI. Deepfakes can depict someone appearing to say or do something that, in fact, never said or did, or doesn't exist. So we have a video here, and I need to reshare because I forgot to add audio. Give me 1 second. Okay, if we shared, so it should come up audio. If you don't hear anything, let me know. But he's gonna play this video. I want you to think about it. What do you think about it? And whatever comes into mind, you can put it in the chat.
In a stunning development, Canada.
Oh, I'm opening here. My bad. 1 second. It will come up now.
Development, Canada has declared war on the United States. Let's go to Joe Braxton, who is live at the border.
I'm currently at the border, but there is no war. Mom, Dad, I know this looks kind of real, but it's all AI.
Grandpa, I'm fine. This is just AI. You don't need to wire money to anyone. I am not in love with you. And I do not need your money for a plane ticket. I am AI.
This fake moon landing footage isn't classified. It's AI.
You're probably wondering how I got rich with crypto. The truth is, I didn't get rich off crypto. I don't even exist.
You might be able to tell this is fake now, but it's gonna keep getting better.
We're all AI!
There could be aliens, but I'm not one of them. I'm AI.
An herbal supplement did not cure my cancer. I'm not even real.
Uncle Fred, the government has not been taken over by lizard people.
You don't need to send us $5,000 in gift cards because you missed jury duty.
Grandma, it's not real. It's AI.
It's AI.
It's AI.
Bro, it's AI.
Fake faces.
Real consequences.
Think before you trust.
You're muted, Jose.
Thank you. Been gone for like 5 minutes talking. What are your thoughts with this video? This is made with Google Veo 3. I know they keep creating other models, but this video in particular was Google Veo 3.
Someone did comment, Molly commented that the mouths don't line up with words. I do want to point out, because I watched this video, obviously, when we were creating this presentation, and because it was, I think, being streamed through the Zoom, there was even more of a delay, but if you watch it directly, it is not so much of a gap with the mouths lining up with the words. I do want to point that out. It looks a little bit lower in quality watching it in this Zoom than when I watched it originally. I do want to throw that out, but it is a good example of how the mouths sometimes don't line up.
Anything's far-fetched? Yes.
I really liked that they included the one woman, the AI woman, saying that you might be able to tell that it's AI generated now, but they're only getting better. And very soon we won't be able to rely on, oh, the hands have an extra finger or one of those telltale signs, because it is frightening. And I also really liked that they covered all the examples of what are often used to scam people, to make them think that they're real people. I thought it was a really helpful video. I'm going to share it with my students.
Thank you for sharing. That's definitely true. And a lot of it right now, many parts of the video, they don't even showing hands. They have, it's like this is the way that you're seeing it. That's one of the tells, only if you see the hands. So I'm not AI. I have 5 fingers each hand. So, okay. Are there current studies with information about how often AI is used now for such shady manipulation? I don't know if Brianna would know. I haven't looked into that deep into it. I just know that it's everywhere in social media. That's just you see they use them as jokes, they use them for ads, you could see them everywhere. It will be something that I like to something that I would actually definitely look into extra finger.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So there is a resource I can point out later on that actually will show you like a curated list of all recently reported deep fakes that are out there in the news and social media and things like that. Um, I don't know of a study off the top of my head, but I'm sure there is going to be more and more. Um, as somebody who does cybersecurity training for EastCon, I can tell you that there's a lot of use in like spoofing websites and things like that and using AI in those ways. So I think just how widely it's used, there's going to be more and more studies coming forward with it. That's a great
Definitely.
question. I'm definitely going to be Googling afterwards to look into that a little bit more.
Definitely. So I like the message in the video and gets your attention. Would you please share the link? Oh, yes, I will. Once I go into the activity, actually, I'll click on it while we continue talking. I'll share it.
I'm doing it now, Jose.
Oh, you got it? Okay,
Yep.
thank you. Let me stop it before they start talking about it again. Okay. The
In a
ones that are
stunning development,
far-fetched,
Canada has declared war on the
Oh.
United States. Let's go to Joe Braxton.
I really try to pause it. Okay. The ones that aren't far-fetched are very believable. Yes. And let's not go that far. How many people have had phone calls that you definitely could tell that's it's a chatbot audio, right? We're getting those on phone calls now. Those are a little bit more difficult to well, especially with some people that might not be used to, they just think they're talking to someone, you know. So let's add another layer of complexity here, right? We were able to see that because we're looking at it at full screen. But a lot of what we're seeing is this right here, which is you get your deep fakes or anything in social media, and it's very small. You're gonna have a low resolution, depending on the device that you have, you know, and looking into these, then a lot of those imperfections that you might be able to identify at a high resolution video gets lost when you're downscaling so much. So then the increase of just in the wild, right, that you're going through things and just not realizing that it's an AI thing or not. I am somewhat happy to see in the chat that people are recognizing it and they're flagging it that it's AI. But there's some other ones that I'm like, I'm positive that this is AI. Then I don't see the comment. Then I'm like, wait, is it or is it not? So now you're even doubting things that are potentially real because now you don't know if it's AI or not. So you get like the both sides of the situation here. So again, always verify information using trusted sites and reliable sources. Our next one here is refine or try again. This one, AI responses depend on the prompt provided. Adjust or rephrase your input to improve accuracy and better meet your needs. A lot of the users, or not a lot of the users, first-time users will put in a initial question and kind of treat it as almost like a Google search. And then like that came up is just what you're looking at. Just always remembering or always encouraged to, don't just take that first one. The first one could be an okay prompt, but maybe it didn't understand what you were referring to, or you didn't give it enough context. So you want to do another prompt, ask for it to give you something more specific and things like that to get a better response. And our fifth one here is verify privacy and usage terms. Using AI to adapt materials must align with your resource terms. Check usage policy to prevent unintended issues. So here, there's a snapshot. I'm just gonna click here for this one in particular. This might have already been updated, but I have the actual links to the terms here. I'll zoom in so you can see it better. But I have the actual link to the term, so if they update it, you can see something more up to date. But basically, I highlighted a couple of things on the terms of use, because ReadWorks, which is a resource that you can use, and some teachers use it for ESL, has like your reading passages. It has some activities like answering questions and vocabulary and things like that. And ReadWorks allows you to use PDF to export some of these activities in order for students to work on it. However, they even though that's the intent, they allow that. It's not supposed to be used outside of the platform, meaning that you're using, let's say, that PDF or that printed document more so like an accommodation thing, not that you're using just the passages and forgetting about the platform itself. All of that's a collective thing. And one of the things that they mention in the terms of use is that you're not allowed to remix or adapt it in any way, which means that putting that, let's say, that passage, because you have a PDF version of it, in a chat bot and level the text or give you additional questions is something that under the terms of use for ReadWorks, that you're not allowed to. So understanding what you're putting in is important, but also looking at it on the other end. And again, this is terms of use of ChatGPT. This was 2024. I know they have updated their terms, so I would recommend to take a look at that. But here I want to mention or read this piece here. You are responsible for content. You represent and warrant that you have all rights, licenses, and permissions needed to provide input to our services. And then they also say ownership of content, right? They have you, A, retain your ownership rights and input, and B, own the output. We hereby assign to you all our right, title, and interest, if any, in and to output. This is where it gets very, gray area. If we're using ReadWorks as the example, to put in content into AI is going to say, well, you agree to the terms and you know that what you put in is yours, which technically is not. And then you're going into that back and forth that, if something does happen, then you're not backed by either or because you broke the terms, the conditions from both ends. So basically what this means is that whatever content that you're looking into, make sure that you understand the terms and conditions of what the AI that it's using, and also the resources that you're trying to remix and modify. As a way to give you a little bit more in depth on the positive side, is that there is something called Creative Commons, and these are licenses that are used most usually for open educational resources, and would allow you to understand what can you do with that resource that's available for free to you. They have these different icons that will tell you what you are allowed to do with that resource. So as an example, credit must be given to the creator. This is usually the most common one that I see with anything. Non-commercial uses of the work are permitted, which means that you can't get any money or charge people for a resource that's in this with labeled this way. You have here adaptations must be shared under the same terms, and then this would allow you then, okay, I can go in and make my changes using AI, and you're not breaking any usage terms. And then here is that it's no derivatives or adaptations of the work are permitted. So if you see this, then they're stating or asking for you not to use or not to remix yourself, or in this case, we'll use AI. Just because you have the document or you could actually input that in AI doesn't mean that you should. Any questions up to this point with the 5 essential guidelines? And again, this is looking like for like your use with AI. It's not going much into how opinion and inputting your resume. So I've okay, that's a great question because again, you're like in that gray area piece. If you have an account with AI, I'm gonna say ChatGPT because I do have a subscription for it. There is ways that you could actually not have it use um your data for training. That you have to turn it off because by default it's on, conveniently so for them, right? So you would have to turn those off first. A lot of what I do when I'm entering is that I purposely hide some information. I'll either make it generic or I'll put in um, I followed an example that I asked for a letter one time and it would give me like the brackets and it'll say like name of person and then that and it will and I'm like, you know what, that's a good way for me to enter things that I want it to look at without me sharing the information. So I do the brackets and I'll put in, if I have to describe what it is, I'll describe it without saying what it is. And then if it's personal information, I'll just put in bracket date of birth or things like that. So that way I'm not putting any personal information in, but still giving it enough context so it knows what I'm looking for or what I'm eating on that point. And then once you get it, then you can start pulling everything in. Well, you copy it, take it out, and then you start putting everything in. That's how I approach it when it's stuff that I'm not comfortable in sharing. I just do the brackets and explain what it is. Okay, so we have match the headline. Okay, we're gonna have some news stories on what AI has been up to, and our instructions on match the headline is to review the headline. You're gonna have a little snapshot there. You're gonna choose the guideline it connects to, share and discuss in chat if you would like to, and then we'll reveal the match. Okay, you're gonna have all five. You decide which one it applies to. I might give you a little bit of context. However, I do want to say that all these are linked. So if you are interested in reading them, they're linked on the actual snapshot, and then you could access them um, on their website so you could read them if you're interested. Ready, set, go. Here's the first one. Should have had some music in the background, forgot. First question is from headline, Stanford report. Researchers uncover AI bias against older working women. AI is perpetuating inaccurate gender and age stereotypes, influencing everything from hiring practices to workplace perceptions. We have never share private information. Always check. There you go. Always check for discrimination. Fact check. Everyone can see all the five properly, right? Ah, okay. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Always check for discrimination and bias, right? I see that there was also here fact checking for AI responses, right? You might look for different studies and try to figure out if this is actually being something that they're seeing or if it's something that's just biased because AI is pulling it from. Unfortunately, you could say, oh, can you give me where you're pulling this from? And it's kind of a hit and miss. Sometimes they'll give you some links, unless you're actively asking or providing it the information for it, then it'll be more accurate. But sometimes it's just, you know, it's not 100% reliable. You still will need to do some research. But good job, everyone. Okay, ready for number 2. This is from Wired. The Meta AI app lets you discover people's bizarrely personal chats. Okay, I see a response here already. Fact check everything every time. Yeah, verify policy, privacy, verify privacy and usage terms. Never share. Fact checked. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Right. So we have never share private information. Meta is a little tricky because Meta is social media. It's in social media. It's like Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and it's very easy to go in and open a chat. And I'm personally not comfortable with it only because I like to have like a wall between what I'm using to where it's living. So I like that distance. But never share private information, right? They're sharing information with AI, and then AI's letting it was a mistake that happened, right? They apologize and they're fixing it's a bug and all of that, but that still means that people are still information on people still getting out there, which is it's not okay by any way. And then verify privacy and usage terms. Perfect example here. Facebook actually asks for permission from people to access their camera roll, like not the one that's on website, but their personal one, because what they say is, oh, we could give you some guidance, some examples of we could remix it with different styles, and we could pull from locations that you're in and all of that. But again, it's you're kind of in the cross between these two, so you want to make sure that you're careful. And then fact check is always could apply to pretty much everything here. Okay, so let's go for the next one. This one is from Lifehacker. Here's what happened when I gave vibe coding a try. This one, I'll give you a little bit more context because there's no sentence here explaining it, but he goes into using a chatbot to create a program. He wanted things to work out in a certain way, so it was working with some code. That's like the term of vibe coding. You could just give it a prompt, and it'll be able to give you code that you would need, let's say, a programmer to work on. And the way that he actually explained it, just to give you a little bit more context, was that it was like he was having a conversation with a real life programmer. Okay, so we have refine. I'll try again. Fact check AI responses. Fact check plus refine. Okay, 3, 2, 1. We dub this mostly as refine and try again because it's that part of that you're interacting with the bot, getting some of that information. You'll test it out, which will align to that fact checking, right? You'll test it out on the website. It's not pulling up, or we were supposed to get a drop down and something else came up. So then you go back and you say, okay, this didn't work. This is what came up, and you go into that back and forth conversation, right? So you're looking at refine and try again, and I'm keep seeing the fact check. I wasn't anticipating it like that, but it within the context that you guys are sharing it definitely makes sense. So it's a viable guideline to still consider. Next one. This one is from PC World. Oh, I was gonna read that. Ring denies being mass surveillance, but AI dog tracking will continue. Anyone that saw the Super Bowl, you guys could do thumbs up. I like to watch the ads on Super Bowl. I always think that they're funny and they're unique. They put a lot of thought into them. But I'll play this if you didn't get a chance to see it. And you guys could put in the chat what you guys think in the meantime. Here we go.
This is Milo. Pets are family. But every year, 10 million go missing. And the way we look for them hasn't changed in years. Until now. One post of a dog's photo in the Ring app starts outdoor cameras looking for a match. Search Party from Ring uses AI to help families find lost dogs. Since launch, more than a dog a day has been reunited with their family. Be a hero in your neighborhood with Search Party. Available to everyone for free right now. Join the neighborhood at ring.com.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Reminds me of verify privacy and usage terms. Yes. So it's important thing here. Ring didn't have this before. So now that it's a new feature, so existing platforms that you use already are bringing in AI, and that's impacting how your information, how it was used before, is going to change with the use of AI. It's mass surveillance. Yeah. So they're saying it's only for dogs, and the thing with the article is that they're thinking, if they're going to be tracking dogs, they're going to be tracking people, and they say that it's only for dogs. But again, this is what's circulating. Articles here if you want to know more. It's a lot that people have been talking about it and sharing online and all of that. And our last one, last but not least. This is search engine land. I really like this one because it took a snapshot of everything that happened, and it lives there in its own timeline that you could see what happened when it happened. And the article here is Google AI overviews under fire for giving dangerous and wrong answers. It's back in 2024. Okay. 3, 2, 1. This is anonymous decision. Everyone was putting in there, and then of course there's one that mentioned bias in that something as well. When I would invite you, if you have the time, you're interested, you click there. There's some crazy things that you saw that you would see there, like you could use glue to keep cheese on pizza, and things like that. So very interesting look, and it'll give you like a snapshot of like all the different headlines that were coming up with when Google AI Overview released. Thank you everyone for participating. Very excellent work. There are two other concerns that are not in guidance necessarily directly. We have also these linked here. One is the cost of computer components, specifically RAM. I saw in January two sticks of RAM for a computer laptop for almost $1,000 at Best Buy. So when I saw that on the store labeled, I asked, "Can I please see that? I need to hold it and I need to like look into it," because for me that was just insane. But the reality is, with the data centers that are being built, there's a lot of components that are being bought ahead of time. One of the 3 distributors have sold out all of their components for this year. So anything that they're producing is already sold, and there's 2 other ones that are also, I don't know the status for those, but a lot of the AI companies are trying to buy these ahead of time so they could build the data centers. And yeah, so you're looking at increase of price of technology in general, which anything that has RAM, your TV, your phones, your computers, your different streaming devices, and all of that. The other article here, it goes into, it's from World Resources Institute, and goes into how the data centers can and are impacting U.S. communities. They look into power, they look into the water usage because it has to be clean water. It looks at different there's like about, I want to say it's like about 5 or 6 different areas that it looks like that it looks through, but it goes very in depth. I think it's excellent just to get an understanding of how data centers do impact communities. And so that's also there as well. And all this will be shared with you at the end. We have our Digital ATDN's artificial intelligence page. It's located under our content areas. And we include different types of generative AI. We break it down into, all-in-one, task-specific, and chatbots. There is our essential AI guidelines for effective use that we have that we went over, and there's curated resources both from Digital ATDN and other reliable organizations. So when you receive the slides, and thank you, Brianna, for sharing the link, you could also access here the information, and you have like a little quick recording there of how it looks like when you navigate our website. Last year, we had no, not last year, 2 years ago, we had the Knowledge Bites, which was a set of 5 different recordings sessions where we broke down AI and its different uses across. We designed it for educators and administrators. We focused on practical application and real-world integration, and we prepared participants to lead into an AI-shaped learning environment. We had the guidelines that came up that we shared, and we highlighted some of the tools that were coming up at the time regarding AI. I mean, of course, AI tools that we were using that were coming up at the time and was, gaining traction. On this one, this is actually a chart that Brianna prepared because she was my partner in crime during the entire series. And we put together like all of the different when to use, like what would we recommend as a starter. A lot of that still rings true. But with that, I'll pass on the digital microphone to Brianna.
You. So the main tools that we had shared in that series, obviously ChatGPT, Gemini, Microsoft Copilot, some of the AI tools that were coming out with Canva Magic Studio, Magic School, Diffit, Tweet, and CurryPod. So we'll look a little bit closer at each of those and what's changed since November 2023 in terms of these tools. So in terms of the chatbots, so ChatGPT, Gemini, and Copilot, these chatbots help generate ideas, draft content, analyze information, and even handle images or audio. The core experience is still free with limits, but features and guardrails continue to shift as new models roll out. So just keep an eye on those. If you have an account, they usually do send you an update when new things are being added. Next slide, please. So with Canva, Canva has evolved into an AI-powered design space where you can turn text into slides, visuals, and edited media in just a few clicks. Many tools are available through education access, though licensing and advanced features vary. Next slide, please. With Diffit, Diffit quickly generates leveled standards-aligned materials and connects easily to Google Classroom, although paid version only for that. The free version allows content creation, but editing and customization are more limited. With Magic School, when we first started, was completely free. So everything was available. You can still access it through Canva for education, and a lot of the core AI design tools are still available. There are limitations. Last time I used it, you could kind of do an initial requests, but there wasn't as much back and forth and adding on. There are some workarounds for it with nonprofit and K-12 partnerships. And as always, keep an eye out for the licensing requirements and what's changing. Okay, so CuriePod is I would say initially a presentation platform. So you can use AI to create a presentation lesson, and then there's, it's very student interactive as well, so you can create activities for students to do. The CuriePod for me still has a decent bang for your free buck. The AI is limited, but they have kind of a weird model in that it is based on the overall use of the AI. So a lot of other places you'll get like X number of credits or runs of AI. With this, it's just depending on how much AI is being used, it may limit free accounts a little bit. So that's a little bit of a gray area, but you still get a lot with the free, including the student participation. One of the key selling points when we initially presented it, and still is a key selling point, is the AI features, including AI student feedback. And there are some limited content translations that didn't exist before. Next slide, please. And then we have Twee. So Twee was another one that was originally all free. It was in the beta testing stages when we first introduced it. Now there are some limitations with the free account. And Twee is primarily, I would say, for English language learning and for ELL or English language acquisition teachers. What you still get is some trial runs of any tools excluding Pro Tools. I don't know whether once you do 5, that's it, or if it's like 5 per month. I could not find that information in all my Googling and searching of the site. You get some credits for creating audio from text, and there are still some free resources and tools that are available through Twee. So in addition to what's changed, back in the day, these tools that we shared were relatively new. A lot of them were still in testing. There wasn't pricing structure. And since then, it has expanded exponentially. And there are a lot of very specific tools that can be used within education to save you a lot of time rather than having to input a lot of information into ChatGPT or Gemini to get, a lesson plan or things like that. There are tools custom built for that purpose. So since prior to 2023, I've been creating this list with all my late night TikTok endless hours of just watching and Facebook Reels and things like that. I have been curating this list of free resources. So this list is broken down into kind of 4 intended uses. So you can learn more about AI for administrative support, educator use, and student use. If you want to switch sharing, I'm already logged in, Jose. Okay. And I will share the link as well. It is going to require you to get a code for your email, just as an FYI. But here's the link, and I will share it. We want to share screen 1. Okay. So when you log in to our lovely homepage, let me drag this bar to a different screen. It has some information. So this list includes free versions as of February 6th, 2026. What Jose and I learned when we were doing the initial Knowledge Bites is the pay structure can change at the drop of a hat with very little notice. So there were times where we were presenting where it was fine, and then the next time we presented on that same tool, we suddenly hit a roadblock where all of a sudden the pricing structure had changed and our access was very limited. So I went through all these resources, verified that they still had, enough available with the free to stay on this list. And so if things change down the line, don't blame me. Blame the AI. But we also have those essential guidelines for effective use that Jose went over earlier in the presentation. You can access the actual infographic, and this will link you right to the AI page for digital ATDN. And we highly, highly recommend using those best practice guidelines with any AI use. Also at the bottom of the page is some support. So if you wanted to submit a help desk ticket, view upcoming PD, or just go to Digital ATDN's websites, that is there. But so for the AI resources, it is in alphabetical order. There are some filters available. So once again, you can, if you are an administrator and you're looking for administrative support, or you really just want something that can help you with your emails, you can filter by that. The educator use, if you want to learn more about AI, how to use it, how to build better prompts, things like that. Or if you want students to actually use it, you can filter by student use. Because there are so many different ways that these tools can be used, we broke it down into categories. So if you wanted to learn the fundamentals about how to use AI, if you wanted to find tools for assessment, content creation, instructional design, management and support, or for research, and then some additional purposes. So if you were looking for communication, creating assessments, documentation, grading feedback, and so on and so on, you can drill down even further. And then we also indicated whether we tested these tools. So if you wanted to just take a look at the tools that I just went over what's changed, you can just click that and it will filter through, as well as a couple other ones that I've tested and used recently. But you can just click in on whichever one you're interested in looking at. It gives you a description. It will tell you what type it is, whether it's a website, video, file, app, extension, so on. Whether it requires an account. Some do, some don't. Some you do need to create one if you want to go any further in terms of having the conversation, like ChatGPT, or if you want to upload a video or something like that. And then the intended use. So I did mention a deepfake one that I said I was going to share earlier when there was an ask about if there's studies. So this is Resemble AI is the one I would recommend for that. And it actually has all of the recent deepfakes that have been reported, as well as their news source and type and things like that. So I did include that because I thought that was a great resource, namely because I was looking for them for the cybersecurity training I developed, for examples. And I'm like, I am just not finding anything in Google Images that is working because there's no context to it. So I found this and I was like, this is amazing, just because information literacy is so important. And as Jose mentioned, this is coming up a lot in terms of what we see online as well on our social media. So this is here. It is free to use and explore. And as I find things, and I'm sure as Jose does too, I'm sure we'll continue to add to this list as more and more tools are developed and shared. Any questions? I guess I'll go back to, oops, to this. Hey, Jose, anything else you want to add to wrap it up? There's no questions about any AI tools or the resource.
So this is we're going to share, like we mentioned in the past, we are going to share these resources with you. And we are also going to put this on our website. So we have our digital, where our AA page. So we'll have the tool also available there so you could access. Yeah, I don't see any questions here. I do want to say, as we close out, that anything that you have gone through Digital Learning Day up to this point and what's to come you can schedule a tech implementation and support session. These are totally free. You get 30 minutes, up to 30 minutes with us to sit with you virtually. If you have any questions, if you're trying to explore something a little bit more in depth, if there's a resource that you needed some guidance, if you're trying to figure out some of the North Star, if you're trying to look at how do you bring deep fakes into the classroom in a way that you're comfortable with sharing, anything that could come into mind that's related to digital literacy, you could schedule a session with us and we are there to support. Okay. And it's free, no judgment. We're here to listen to you and to support you during that time and anytime after that as well. And then we have our website here as well. Yeah. And if there's no other, let's see, resource list is so helpful. And Canvas, the overlapping one I see from my list. Yes. And that's the thing. Like sometimes you get a tool and all of a sudden sometimes, in a good way, like things change in a good way. But in our case, we were trying to change that. We were finding out stuff that we could do and we couldn't do anymore. So it was happening the opposite. But there's also, there's changes that come up and it gets very, definitely. Yeah. I still have questions, but yeah, definitely. So these tech implementation and support sessions, I need to share the link. It doesn't have to be one-on-one. We do one-on-ones, there's no problem with that. But you could definitely go in with more than one people. I've had a small admin group. We've had program teachers, they say like ESL teachers that pulled together and did a meeting. We've had one-on-ones, maybe it's just two, and just getting some. It's nothing formal, so it's not like you have to give us a proposal. So any questions that you have, you post it in when you schedule it, just to give us heads up, so we kind of prepare what in our mindset how to support, and then you could schedule them for free. And then my email is yeah, thank you, Amy, for the email. Oh, did I share that? Yeah, yep. And then the tech support as well. So again, thank you so much, everyone. We have a break. Okay. You have lunch right now. Please have lunch on me. The next session is From Basics to Boundless, helping multilingual adults acquire digital vocabulary. This session is an hour and 15 minutes. Okay. So it's a little bit different. So we're starting at 1:15 to allot that time, and we're going to have Jamie Adelson Goldstein. You guys might know her. She'll be back with us to support for our next section. And thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and see you guys after lunch.
Thank you.